So here I am after my journey. So this is botnet command and control through Tinder, almost. So who am I? I haven't really changed much since last week. This doesn't really matter because you're probably just reading the profile anyway. But I like Blue Team home labbing and network security, and you can find me on GitHub and my blog, scriptingislife. So if you remember last week, the first part of my quote-unquote methodology of automating these things was intercepting the request. So you can, like I did with setting up the browser for the proxy, you can also do it on your phone. So turn on Burp Suite on your laptop or whatever, and have it listen on all of your ports. Tell your phone on the Wi-Fi settings to use the Burp Suite proxy, and you'll get all of those HTTP requests. That is, unless you have certificate pinning on. So certificate pinning kind of provides a pretty good certainty that you're communicating with the server who you want to, which kind of eliminates man-in-the-middle attacks. So if you can see here, you got your phone, which is running Tinder, and then Burp Suite will provide its own certificate, and port swigger CA is the actual CA. So if it's not certificate pinning, iPhone will say, yeah, that's a good certificate. I trust this. I'll send my encrypted communication to the server. And then Burp will decrypt it where you'll see the clear text request and then send it on to the actual WhatsApp, which uses the actual certificate. But if you turn on certificate pinning, it's at the client level. So the app has this certificate that says, I know I only trust this one. Anything else, just don't connect to it. And so this is what Tinder does. And so they say, only trust this list of certificates, and anything else, drop the connection, any data. And so we have to get past this somehow. Oh, before then, if all that trust certificate stuff didn't make sense to you, think about it like this. Tinder says, are you Buzz Lightyear? Burp Suite says, yeah, I'm Buzz Lightyear. And Tinder's not buying it at all. So how do we get around this? Well, the first thing you can try is to actually decompile the app, so like the APK for Android, modify the functions that have the certificate pinning, and then re-upload the app without it, and hopefully you should get the request through. And there's a great blog post, thank you Chaim Sanders for making this a requirement in his classes, of bypassing certificate pinning on Tinder. And so this was sadly in 2016, so it's a little outdated now, and so the code is obfuscated, and it made it a little bit harder to find the right functions. So you're probably not going to be able to see this, but looking for X509 Trust Manager and all of the files in the Tinder app. Get pinning, and so there's a couple of these in the f.smalley, and if you look, this is from the blog post, the check client trusted, and basically all you do is say return void in the function, and part of the time that should work. That's a pretty common approach or method to try, but that didn't work, and so I stayed up on Friday night, real late into the night, going through every method, returning void on these ones, not on those ones, and it just crashed every time. So now we have to bypass this cert pinning bypass somehow. And so we can go straight for the API. So someone must have done this before. And so I did a search on GitHub for just Tinder API, and there's like 118 results of people implementing the API already and documenting it. So that's what I went for. And so the second part of this methodology is translating to Python requests and making our own requests. I use Postman, which had a demo, but that's not going to work. And it basically lets you form HTTP requests on your own in a nice GUI instead of writing Python code for it. That's what I did. This is what the GitHub repo looks like that I used. So it gives the endpoint with api.gotinder.com is the domain, and then /auth, for example, and then we send this data, so your Facebook token and Facebook ID, which it has a Python file to get that based on your username and password. And that's what, if you ever used Tinder before, it authenticates with Facebook, and that's how you kind of verify yourself. So it gives Facebook auth token.py uses Robo browser, which I had actually never heard of before, but it's a Python module to actually render the page without using like Selenium for Chrome and Firefox. But Robo browser does it without any other installed stuff. And so you put in your username and password into a config file, and it'll get you your token and UID, which then you use through the Python requests. And then Tinder API takes that and gives you a token for Tinder specifically, which then you use in the header. So this is the basic information you need to get started. Is the host for everything is api.gotinder.com, an XAuth token header with your token in it, and then we're going to use the user agent for an iPhone, basically to fake that this request is coming from an iPhone. And this is the profile response, basically. So I want to get my profile information. Here's my email, my birth date, the creation date, which it all gets from Facebook. And good thing I included that picture since we don't have a demo now. So now we can make requests. We can get a lot of different data from Tinder. So for example, you can swipe right or left on people. You can send messages to a specific user ID, and you can get a user's profile data. So you can do a lot with this. There's a lot of powerful functions that the API gives you. So for example, you could match with someone and just send them commands through the messaging. Or if you want to be a little sneakier about it, just have one command user profile that just has a list of commands in their bio. But this would be a good time to talk about Facebook security, because they put a lot of resources into that, as a couple people can tell you that are still here. So I think we all know about how Facebook lights bots. They're in the news a lot for fake news, Russian troll bots. So it was pretty hard to get around this. For example, I tried to do this last Sunday, I think, and I kept getting bad requests for when I was trying to log in and get my token. And so I tried to log in through just the web browser and said, upload a picture of yourself to verify it's you. There's some suspicious activity going around. So I said, sure, I'll upload a picture of myself. And that didn't go too well. So that was kind of the end of this journey. Yeah, I kind of got stuff to work, but it's pretty hard to get around Facebook security. Last week was really easy. There was a really simple web app with no real authentication or security on it. Facebook was a little step higher than that. So maybe next week we'll do workplace. And with that, any questions? All right, thank you. Oh. It's from 0